Was it a fever dream, or a horrifyingly real glimpse into a world beyond comprehension? The rain hammered against the warped timbers of the old farmhouse, mirroring the frantic drumming in my chest. It started subtly, a whisper in the periphery, a flicker of movement in a shadowed corner, the scent of something cloyingly sweet like overripe fruit and burnt sugar. Then it escalated. The villagers spoke of the gatherings, hushed, fearful gatherings held deep within the Blackwood, a place avoided even by the bravest hunters. They spoke of rituals, of bargains struck with darkness, of a seductive, terrifying power that lured the unwary into a web of obsession and despair. I, Elias Thorne, a scholar obsessed with forgotten lore, dismissed it as superstitious nonsense, until I found myself standing at the edge of the Blackwood, drawn in by an irresistible, chilling magnetism. The air thickened as I stepped beneath the canopy, the sunlight choked out by an unnatural gloom. Twisted branches clawed at the sky like skeletal fingers, and the ground beneath my feet was a spongy carpet of decaying leaves. It wasn't long before I heard it, a low, rhythmic chanting, punctuated by the clang of metal and the unsettling murmur of voices. Pushing through the dense undergrowth, I stumbled upon a clearing bathed in an eerie, phosphorescent glow. It was a party, but not like any party I'd ever witnessed. Men and women, young and old, danced with a frantic, almost manic energy, their movements jerky and unnatural. They wore elaborate, unsettling costumes, feathered headdresses, shimmering silks, and masks that seemed to leer with malevolent amusement. And at the center of it all, presiding over the chaos, was him. He wasn't a man, not entirely. He was tall and impossibly elegant, draped in crimson velvet that seemed to absorb the light. His face was obscured by a silver mask, but his eyes, visible through the slits, burned with an unsettling intelligence. He moved with a fluid grace, his voice a silken whisper that commanded attention. He called himself Valerius, and he offered promises: power, knowledge, wealth, love, all within easy reach, if only you were willing to surrender a small piece of yourself. The novices, the newcomers, were the most vulnerable. They were presented with trinkets, a tarnished silver ring, a scrap of parchment covered in indecipherable symbols, a single, iridescent feather. Touching these objects, Valerius explained, would unlock hidden potential, reveal forgotten truths, grant abilities beyond mortal comprehension. I watched, horrified, as a young woman, her eyes wide with a desperate hope, accepted a delicate, crimson thread and immediately began to glow with an unnatural light. The rituals themselves were disturbing. They involved intricate dances, hypnotic chants, and a disconcerting emphasis on sensation. I observed a man offered a wand of retribution, channeling a dark energy, causing a nearby tree to wither and die with a single, chilling gesture. Another, granted the ability to foresee the future, accurately predicted a thunderstorm that erupted with terrifying force, unleashing a torrent of rain and hail. It was a display of raw, terrifying power wielded with chilling indifference. Then there were the couplings. I didn't want to think about them, but I couldn't help but notice the unsettling intimacy, the almost predatory glances exchanged between men and women. Valerius explained, with a chillingly detached tone, that the gatherings weren't merely about entertainment. They were about connection, about merging souls, about tapping into a primal energy that flowed through the Blackwood. The women, particularly the novices, were subjected to a bizarre, almost ritualistic degradation. They were forced to kneel on the ground, facing downwards, while Valerius, cloaked in shadows, approached them with unsettlingly intimate gestures. He offered them a cold, strangely smooth ring, and as they touched it, a transformation began. Their eyes lost their light, their movements became more deliberate, more subservient. I saw a young woman, once vibrant and full of life, reduced to a shell, her spirit utterly extinguished. I tried to understand the mechanics of it all. Valerius wasn't simply a charismatic leader, he was a conduit, a vessel for something ancient and malevolent. He wasn't causing the events, he was orchestrating them, manipulating the desires and fears of his followers, exploiting their vulnerabilities. He was a master puppeteer, pulling strings from the shadows, and his audience was a desperate, broken collection of souls. The details of the copulations were difficult to describe. They weren't acts of love, not in any conventional sense. They were transactions, exchanges of energy, a horrifying merging of wills. Valerius used a complex system of symbols and gestures, manipulating the participants through subtle suggestions and carefully crafted illusions. He wasn't interested in pleasure, he was interested in control. The whisper started then, the constant, insidious murmur of Valerius's voice weaving its way into my thoughts, tempting me with promises of knowledge, of power, of a way to understand the mysteries of the universe. I resisted, clinging to my skepticism, but the longer I remained in the Blackwood, the weaker my resolve became. I began to see the world through a different lens, to perceive hidden patterns and connections, to feel a strange, unsettling pull towards Valerius's dark allure. I witnessed a young man offered a map to a lost treasure become consumed by an obsessive desire to find it, sacrificing everything, his family, his friends, his sanity, in the process. A woman, granted the ability to predict the future, spiraled into a state of crippling anxiety, haunted by visions of impending doom. Each individual, seduced by Valerius's promises, was slowly, inexorably consumed by his darkness. The most disturbing aspect of it all was the way Valerius manipulated the very fabric of reality. He could accelerate the growth of plants, conjure storms, and even alter the memories of his followers. He wasn't limited by the laws of nature, he was a master of illusion, a weaver of dreams, a lord of shadows. Then I saw himself. Not the elegant, masked figure presiding over the gatherings, but a glimpse of something far more ancient, far more terrifying. A flicker of crimson light, a serpentine form, a voice that resonated with the cold, indifferent power of a forgotten god. Valerius wasn't merely a demon, he was a fragment of a greater, darker entity trapped within the Blackwood, seeking to reclaim its dominion over the world. I realized with a chilling certainty that the gatherings weren't just about personal gain, they were about feeding Valerius's power, strengthening his connection to the otherworld, preparing the way for a return to darkness. The villagers' stories weren't superstitious nonsense. They were warnings, desperate attempts to prevent a catastrophe that was already unfolding. I attempted to flee to escape the Blackwood and its seductive horrors, but it was too late. Valerius had anticipated my escape, subtly manipulating my perceptions, twisting my thoughts. I found myself drawn back to the clearing, compelled to witness the next ritual, to succumb to the darkness that threatened to engulf me. I watched helpless as a young man, offered a love powder, fell to his knees before a woman, his eyes glazed with an unnatural devotion. I saw a young woman, granted the ability to resist attackers, defend herself with terrifying ferocity, her face contorted in a mask of cold rage. I realized that Valerius wasn't simply exploiting their desires, he was amplifying them, twisting them into grotesque parodies of love and loyalty. Suddenly, Valerius turned his attention to me. His masked face seemed to tilt slightly, as if studying me with detached curiosity. "You've observed, haven't you?" he whispered, his voice a silken caress. "You've seen the potential within these souls. You understand the power that lies dormant within us all." He offered me a choice, a chance to join his ranks, to unlock my own hidden potential, to become a master of illusion and manipulation. The temptation was almost overwhelming. I could wield power beyond my wildest dreams, unravel the mysteries of the universe, reshape reality to my own design. But then I saw it, a flicker of movement in the shadows, a glimpse of a terrified face, a silent plea for help. I realized that Valerius's promises were empty, that his power came at a terrible cost. He didn't offer enlightenment, he offered enslavement. He didn't offer freedom, he offered oblivion. With a surge of adrenaline, I turned and fled, pushing through the dense undergrowth, desperately trying to escape the Blackwood's suffocating embrace. I stumbled, fell, and scrambled to my feet, driven by a primal instinct to survive. As I finally emerged from the trees, blinking in the fading light, I looked back at the clearing. It was silent now, devoid of music and laughter, devoid of the unsettling energy that had permeated the air. But I knew with chilling certainty that Valerius was still there, waiting, watching, patiently biding his time. I never spoke of what I had witnessed, fearing ridicule and disbelief. But the memories remained, etched into my mind with terrifying clarity. I became a recluse haunted by the faces of those who had succumbed to Valerius's allure, forever burdened by the knowledge of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of reality. Was it a momentary lapse in sanity, a fevered hallucination brought on by the oppressive atmosphere of the Blackwood? Or did I glimpse a terrifying truth about the nature of reality, a truth that few are willing to confront? The rain continued to fall, washing over the scarred earth, a mournful reminder of the horrors I had witnessed. And as I looked out at the darkening horizon, I couldn't shake the feeling that Valerius was watching me, waiting for the moment when I would finally succumb to his seductive call. The Blackwood remains a silent sentinel guarding its secrets, a testament to the enduring power of darkness. And I, Elias Thorne, am left with a chilling question: how many others have fallen prey to its insidious embrace?